All right, so the first thing we're going to do here is run npx create-stackbit-playground. And this is going to clone the Stackbit Playground repository to our local machine. And once that's cloned, it's going to give us some instructions on what to do next. And we'll walk through those together. So once this finishes here are our instructions on what to do next. And let's get to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to open this in VS Code so it kind of gives us, we'll see exactly how all this is coming together, right? So here's the repository. This is a normal Next.js repository. Our components are here inside source. We have our pages are inside of content pages, and they're just stored as markdown files. And we have our content model itself here under .stackbit with all these different components. Now, everything that I've just shown is what we provide out of the box with this specific theme. You can rip all this out and start as bare as you would like, and we will show you exactly how to make any starting point editable here. So let me zoom in a little bit, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up a terminal here inside of VS Code, and we're going to follow our instructions, right? So here in our first terminal window, we're going to make sure we're in the Stackbit Playground, and look at that, we're inside of the Stackbit Playground. Now the next thing we're going to do is run npm install, and then we're going to run npm run dev. So I'm going to run npm install, and boom, ran everything. And now the next thing I'm going to do here is run npm run dev, which will get the preview running on localhost. So this if you click into that, which why don't we just do it real quick, you will see here, and that was from a little test before this, but once we see this is the website, right? And so this is how you normally would code, is you would come in and we could open up content here, pages and index, and we will say work loves how you code, and you'd click Command S and boom, there it is, right? So nothing different here, it looks exactly how we would expect. So we've ran our 2 commands there, and now it's time to go back to our instructions, and it says basically we need to be in a second terminal. We're going to make sure we're in Stackbit Playground, and then we're going to run this command here, which is basically installing the Stackbit CLI. So let's open up a second terminal window here. We're inside of Stackbit Playground, and now what I'm going to do is, for my machine, I have permissions set where I need to run sudo in front of this. So I'm going to run sudo npm install -g at Stackbit CLI, and now I'm going to hit return, and I need to put in my password up, and let me make sure I did that correctly. All right, and this will process, and great. So now that that's processed, the last step that we have here is to run the, let's see if we can get that all on the same line just so you see it more clear, right? So the last thing we do here is just run this stackbit space dev command. Now we'll run in stackbit space dev, and boom, okay, now it gives us this link, and we're going to open it up in our browser. And so we'll see the difference here is now all of Stackbit is present, right? You have this entire site builder experience with these components that are available out of the box. But the cool thing here is you're just running a clean Next.js repo. So you can rip out all these components, the whole content model, and start fresh, or you can use these ones as a base template and build from here. So I'm going to close this localhost one because there's a lot more we can do inside of here, especially when we're building a website and we want other folks to use it. We want to see how this looks and feels, especially when they start to kind of click into the different sections here and see all the different fields that are present inside of this specific component. So let's jump in to the VS Code side by side with Stackbit. And now what I'm going to do is we'll just show you how the same thing works as when I updated the localhost. It works inside of the Stackbit Studio on your local machine. So we'll say love Stackbit, and then I'll click Command S, and boom, we see it update, right? And the same thing goes here. I could say love Stackbit and local development, and I'm going to click out of here, and boom, we see that update instantly inside of the code. So this is really cool because you can go back and forth on all these different ones. So if I want to remove this button, we'll see it right here, right? So it says learn more, and I'm just going to click this delete, and we'll click delete here, and it's gone. Now if I wanted to add another button, I can just go like this and click Command S, and we have another button. So now that we've kind of shown how you can start to play around with basically the component inside of this markdown file, let's talk about how you can actually customize this component out of the gates. We'll add a new field to it, and then we'll make that field editable. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a whole brand new component here to the screen, and we'll make that new component editable so that you get the understanding of how to create a brand new component yourself. So the first thing we're going to do is add a field, and we'll add it below these get started buttons. It'll be like a little, you can imagine like a marketer might put out a campaign and they want to link from the homepage to something. This is a nice place to have that link. So the first thing we're going to do here is we hover over this, we see this is the hero component, right? So I'm now going to open up the hero component itself inside of the components. So components, sections, and where's our hero? Here's the hero. Opened it up, and let's give this a little more view, which will be really nice. And inside of here now, let's scroll on down to where we see these buttons, and I know where they are just because it's a little bit it will be a little bit easier for us. But we can add in here. We'll just add in a really simple p tag. It's not going to look good, but we're going to get the point across. So inside of here, we'll add a p tag, and we're going to say something like try out the new local development feature. Something like that, right? We're going to click Command S, and we'll see it pop up on the screen. Now, when I hover over it, it's not editable, but that makes sense, right? Because it's just hard coded in. How could this be editable in the first place? So now to make this editable, we need to add a field to the hero content model itself, right? So we have a hero component inside a source, and we also have a content model inside of the repo as well. So inside of models stores all of the different content models. And so now we're going to open up the hero section content model, and we'll see all the different fields that are available, right? So we hover over here, we see title. Here's the title. We hover over this one, subtitle. Here's the subtitle. So we're just going to do a simple string here, and I'm just going to copy this one because it makes it really easy, and we'll call this one subscript, something like that. You'd probably think of a better term than me, but we're doing this live, so that's as good as we're going to get. So the section subscript, right? I'm going to click Command S, and so now we've added this field to the content model itself. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to the component here, right? So now we're inside of the hero section component itself in the code, and I'm going to take out all the all this text. So we'll remove it, and we'll see it leave the screen. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in props.subscript. And I'm pretty sure that's what I had named it. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in this annotation of data SB field path equals dot subscript. And now what this little annotation does here is this enables these highlights, right? So when I come over here and do these highlights, that's because we have a little annotation that is on the element itself. So now we've put these in, but we're not seeing it, right? Well, that makes total sense because we haven't defined anything for that variable just yet. So what we're going to do now is we can open up the component. We'll see it here. So there's subscript, right? And now we're going to say, check out the new local dev feature, whatever we might want for this little campaign, and boop, it popped in, right? And now it's editable. So local dev feature, we can say new amazing feature, and it's updating. And then we'll see it here inside of our markdown file, right? This is the index markdown file underneath pages. So this is just our home page, right? We're on just a normal slash. There's nothing that comes after this. And so this is the page that we're on. And if we want to look in here, we can see amazing, and we could say switch this to awesome, and boop, updated to awesome. We can say fantastic, and you get the point, right? Great. So now what we're going to do is we've added, you can see how you can add in anything you want to these existing components. You can customize them, add in background images, whatever. It's endless because there's no dependencies, no wrappers, no plugins, nothing like that. You're just working out of a clean Next.js repository. So this is really, really cool. Now the next thing we're going to show you how to do here is how to add in a full component on your own. So I'm going to pause for a second and get that ready, and we'll get going from there. All right, so I just wanted to get Tailwind UI up, but it looks like I'm already logged in, which is exactly what I was hoping for. So we're just going to start with this really simple one here because it's going to get us what we need, which is just an understanding of how all these piece together, and we don't need to have all these cool little icons and et cetera, right? So now what we're going to do is we'll come into the components, and a good way that I like to do this is I like to actually just start by copying these components and just duplicating them. So I'm just going to duplicate this hero section. We're going to call it banner section. And the reason I like to do it this way is a lot of the times if I'm making a new section here, it gives me all the different options out of the box. So inside of here, you may want someone to have the ability to come in and update styles, etc., right? So we can make this background blue, and then it also gives them this ability to have like add margins, all this different stuff. So we're going to add a component that's like completely fresh, but if I was doing this in real life, I may start, if I was doing this on a small enough project, I may actually pull a component that looks as close to this banner section as I would want. But another way you can do this is you can pull in from whatever UI library you might want. So we're just going to pull in from a UI library, and I'm going to basically take out all this extra fluff, and we're just going to make this into a simple banner section. So I'm going to say banner section, and we're going to remove all this junk right here. And great. And then I'm going to move all this junk in the return because we're just going to add in our own. And then everything below this, don't need it as well. And now we have a very simple React component. And we're going to basically just copy paste this code. And I'm just going to paste it in here. And we're just going to click save. And we're going to call this, so what I actually wanted to do is it gave me too much. So I just want to come in here and let me look at the code itself. We're just going to pull this, right? We don't need all this extra stuff. And that little X icon, we don't need that as well. So I'm going to remove this for now. And we will, we're just going to get rid of this whole button. Well, we'll leave it like, I wonder what this SR only was. If I knew Tailwind a little bit better, I'd know, but I don't. So we have this in place, and let's make sure that everything here is good. Export default, TSX. I'm just going to change this to a JSX so we don't get this little error, and there it is, right? So, I'm getting an error. Let me just double check what that is and if it's an issue. Well, that was silly. It was literally just this this little apostrophe right here. So I just took it out, and we are just for the sake of this video. And so we've got this banner component right here in our banner section. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to register this in our components so that it actually will show up inside of the component library. So inside of here, we're going to come in and we'll just duplicate this hero section again like we did before, and I'm just going to call this banner section. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to add this content model, right? So we have our hero section content model, which we walked through before, and we added this subscript to. I'm just going to duplicate this, so Command C, Command V, and we're going to rename this banner section, and then we'll just simplify everything here as well. So we're going to go banner section, and we're going to name this one banner, and now we'll see it in the component library. And let's get rid of pretty much everything here. We're just going to leave one string, and we'll call it title. So everything down here we don't need because we're just going through making a brand new component with one little field called title, and we'll say this is a banner. This is a banner. And great, so now when we come back over to our banner itself, so let's open up the banner component, right? Here it is, and let's go ahead and we'll add it to the screen. So here's the banner in our component library, and I'm going to click add. And now we'll see the banner. Great, here it is, right? And nothing's editable yet, but that makes total sense because we haven't added in that title field. So let's add in the title field here, and it looks like these are, this is the one that's showing up right now. Is that right? MD hidden, MD inline. Yeah, this is the one that's showing up right now. So we're just going to start with this one, and we'll go props.title. And then same thing here. We're just going to add in that annotation. I'm sorry, the annotation. I may have been saying attribute this whole time, but it's just an annotation. So data SB field path equals dot title. And I'm going to click save. And now we have that default field showing, right, which says this is a banner. And now when we come over here, we don't see any highlights, right, like we would on all the rest of them. And the reason is I haven't added in one last thing here, which is this get data attributes to the wrapper of the component. So let's go ahead and do that right now. And so to do that, I'm going to look at the, I don't think we need to, shouldn't have changed anything in there. Let's go ahead and look at the hero, and let's grab this. And this is going to allow us to pull in the changes from that come in, the content that comes in through props. So now that comes in, we should start to see this be editable, and here it is, right? So now we see the highlights, and this is editable. So it says this is a banner. We can say this is our new feature. Check it out. And I can zoom in. I know it's been zoomed out, but it gives us a little better look at kind of what the components actually look like when I zoom out a little bit. But so now we have this whole ability to, basically we've showed how to add in a brand new component via the code, make that component editable here, and basically we'll see it update obviously inside of VS Code as well. So inside of here, we'll look up where these are, right? So this is our new feature, and we can change anything we would want inside of there. So, oh, you know why this is showing up with the "we announced the new product" is because of it's because of the MD. This is the way this is coded, right? So this is the one that was showing up. So if we removed this, we could just go something like that, and then keep this here, and now the CSS will always show our the one that we want, no matter how zoomed in we get. And so this was always available, and we can remove these ones, boop, and then let's go back to the index MD. This is our new company, or whatever we might want to call it, and it goes back and forth just as we had shown previously. So that's a high-level overview. I hope this is helpful. I'm going to put some resources like our community into a link to an invite to our Discord community into the comments. Feel free to join us there if you have any questions, and yeah, we'd love to help from here. Oh, and if you have any questions about getting your business going or anything specific, I'll also add a link in the comments to our contact form for businesses, and more than happy to help there as well. All right, cheers.